Amy, let me tell you about a magical place that is so exactly designed to be enclosed space, year-round fun for the whole family that I bet you already know what I'm going to say before I even say the name. Let's say it together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Great Wolf Lodge. You got it, Amy.
My kids loved Great Wolf Lodge when we went. You probably already know that it has a huge indoor water park with a wave pool, lazy river, a bunch of massive water slides. But then your pack can hit the other attractions because wait, there's more.
Great Wolf Lodge has adventure-packed attractions like Magi Quest, a live-action game kids can play throughout the lodge, plus the Northern Lights Arcade. Spent some quality time there, so your kid who loves the lazy river and your kid who loves fantasy games will both have a great time.
Great Wolf Lodge also offers great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. Unpack the car once and you're settled in to have fun. And with 22 lodges across the country, you're always a short drive away from adventure.
We've both had such great times at Great Wolf Lodge, so bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Learn more at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Fresh Take from What Fresh Hell Laughing in the Face of Motherhood. This is Amy. Today, I am with my good friend, Meagan Francis. She is the mother of 5 kids, ages teen to young adult. She's been a parenting writer for 25 years and the co-host of the Mom Hour podcast, which has been in constant publication for 10 years and downloaded over 15 million times. Meagan is also the author of a new book we'll be talking about today. It's called The Last Parenting Book You'll Ever Read, How We Let Our Kids Go and Embrace What's Next. Welcome, Meagan.
Well, what a great setup you just created for me there, Amy. Hello.
Hello.
Happy to be here with you.
You are a true originator in the parenting podcast space. And we've been doing this together for a long time.
We have been. And I know this is not our first time that we've gotten on the mic or on the camera with each other, but I haven't been on this show in a while. So this is exciting. This is really fun. And I feel a little long in the tooth as a mom, I got to say. As you were reading off that bio, it was like, oh, wow, 25 years. Oh, yes. Okay. My kids are getting older now. My oldest is 27.
Wow.
So it's been a long ride. I've been in this a long time already.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's definitely wisdom to impart, but it
Of course.
also feels it's interesting, right? To meet parenting content creators who are 15, 20 years younger, just because they're in the parenting zone also. I'm like, oh, it's a new generation.
It is. Do you remember the first time you were like at the park and you looked over and you saw a mom maybe like pushing your little kid on the swing or something and thought, oh, I'm not the young mom anymore?
No.
What happened?
It is a weird feeling. I drew a lot of identity from being the youngest one in the cast or in the room or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
Now it's a new kind of identity.
It is. And I will say I bought the other day for the very first time, I bought wine at the store and they did not card me. And then they pressed the button that's in Michigan. I don't know how this is where you are, but in Michigan, there's like a button that they can say acknowledge over 50. So they don't even look at your ID. They just tell the machine that they are acknowledging by looking at you that you are over 50. And I am not. I am not over 50. I'm sure the guy was just trying to be nice and keep things moving along. I'm definitely over 21, but I was like, come on, man.
Oh my
give me this.
God. That's a tall, you don't have to look over 50, right? It's just be like, 35, right? 30,
Right
forever
now.
35.
Acknowledge over 50. And I wanted to be like, could you take that back, please? I'm sorry. That is not the case, but that's okay. I'm 47. I love the age I am. I love the stage my kids are in. I love being older, actually. And I think that it does have a lot of wisdom that comes along with the stage because we can look back at like the whole arc. We see the whole story, or not the whole story, but we see enough of the story to see how it ebbs and flows, the heights and the lows, and how you come out of both. So yeah,
We talk about that all the time on this podcast, that just we feel like if we have one thing to deliver to our listeners, it's that it doesn't get slowly more sad and lonely as it goes, right?
No,
that
right.
Your kids leave and then you have a different relationship with them, but it's not bad. It can be really fun and kind of conflict free when you don't see them as often. And
exactly.
It's kind of nice.
You can manage the conflicts really differently. And I think that's something that I've realized is that so much of the work of being the mom of older kids, I have 4 adults, like 3 that are totally launched, 1 who's in college, and then I have 1 teenager at home. And the work of learning how to be a parent to the ones who are out, it's all about me. It's my work. It's like, how do I react to things? They don't text me when I think they should, or they text me too much and tell me stuff I don't want to know, or whatever the thing is. What does it say about me and my relationship with myself, honestly, the way I react to those things? And so, yeah, it's been quite a journey of self-discovery, Amy.
And that's what the book is about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Just to come around to the book, that is the topic of this book. You call it the transition from arms full to hands free, which I guess is what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
But tell us how you define those two things.
Man, this book was a bear to write. And on my Substack, we did a live not too long ago that
yes, we did.
Will be published by the time this airs. So
for sure. We'll link to that.
Yeah, we'll link to that too. But we kind of talked about the process of writing a book that's so personal. And in this case, I had all this material, all these like little vignettes that had come to me. And I had them sort of like started in little snippets and little beginnings of essays and beginnings of chapters, but could not for the life of me figure out how to make it, like how to thematically group it together. Am I going to group this by themes like health and, aging and parenting? How was I going to do this? And finally I thought, it's really like looking back and then kind of being where you are and then looking forward. So that's how I structured it. Arms full to hands free really came from that first section where I was just reflecting back at like what my life used to look like when I had little kids everywhere and going to the store was like an Olympic event, and everything was it was fun. And I loved a lot about that time of life, but it was exhausting and also so all encompassing. Kids were everywhere and, their relics were everywhere. There was just like everywhere I looked was either children or evidence of children. And then I'd go hide in my bedroom and I could still hear them. It was just everywhere.
Right.
And then there comes a point where it's like it peaks and then it starts to de-escalate. And one of the chapters in the book, I talk about how that looked in feeding my family, because it's like you have this slow up, where you've got little ones and then they start eating more and more and more. And then you've got a bunch of teenagers in the house. And I remember I used to go shop and fill the cart all the way to the top. It was like maximum calorie consumption. Like how many calories could I get on the table? And then at some point it starts to come back down. And then you're that person buying the half loaves of bread. And you're thinking, what happened?
My teen peak feeding years were during the pandemic. And so
goodness.
That was nuts because it was very nice when they could go to school and have smoothies and pizza and some calories during the day. So I'm feeding them 3 meals a day and I was losing my mind.
Yeah.
And we had a guest on that was talking about, making things easier with meals. And she said, lunch is leftovers. And I said, what do you mean? She's like, I'm like, I can't, if I made 2 pans of enchiladas, my teenagers would eat 2 pans of enchiladas. If I made one, they'd eat one, right? They ate everything. We never had leftovers. And she didn't quite know how to respond to that. She hadn't dealt with that particular. And
or
anyway,
there'd be like a couple of, the things nobody wanted. There's like 2 kind of limp asparagus stalks. And that's your leftovers.
Right.
Like, okay.
My husband will eat those, but none of the rest of us. Right. The constant work.
Yeah.
You're right. And then all of a sudden it turns into, I guess it's just 3 of us for dinner. I guess it's just 2 of us for dinner.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not bad. It's just different.
It's not bad. But it was, for me, I was like, why does food keep going bad? I keep, losing stuff in the fridge because I was overbuying, because I had been so conditioned to thinking that's how I had to do that task, that parenting task. And there's a lot of that sort of thing. I call it the muscle memory of motherhood in the book, where it's like you just get used to things being a certain way. I got used to the mall, for example, being just hell. Why would I go to the mall? Why would I take all these kids there?
Right.
And so I avoided malls like crazy for 20 years. I just did not go.
It was you. You're the death of the mall. It was because of you.
I killed the mall. I did not darken the door for a very, very long time. And no, I'm not a huge fan of like the traditional 80s mall. But I have to say, when I had just 2 teenagers left and one of them was learning how to drive and we had to do a lot of hours behind the wheel, there was this mall about an hour away. And I'd be like, hey, let's all jump in, the 3 of us, not 7 of us. Let's just 3 of us jump in the car and drive to the mall. And then I'll hang out in Barnes and Noble and you guys can go, I don't know, do your thing in the mall. And they did. And I thought, this is great. And I could have a pretzel. It was amazing. So things change. And I think sometimes we get stuck in the definition of how things were, like the experience. And sometimes we get like a little tense about it. And we think it's always going to be like that. And then there's a day where you go to say like a parade, which was another thing like, no, thank you. I am not taking all these kids to a parade. But now I can be that person who just kind of like between the crowd kind of jimmies in, looks around, goes, oh yeah, and then leaves. It's like there's no stroller, there's no diaper bag.
Right.
It's just me.
Right.
Navigating the world on my own. Very different.
You make this excellent point in the book that I hadn't really thought about, that and that feels like I can never go to parades, but we forget that was an adjustment too, that we also had this huge adjustment when we became parents.
Yeah.
I'm going to quote you to you. You said, it took me years to adjust to being a mother of small kids, to surrender to the reality of giving up my sleep and bodily space and freedom and autonomy. So it only makes sense that the way out is hard too.
Yeah. And you can get good at it. You know, like that's the part, that's where I am now. You mentioned this idea that there's a slow decline, that it just gets sadder and lonelier.
It's only 18 summers and then that's it. Then it's just
that's another thing that drives me crazy because that's not true. I will tell you very much. It's summer right now.
It drives me crazy.
My kids are around. But it took us a while to get good at being the octopus mom, arms everywhere, grabbing the table before the toddler knocks it off the edge. Like you get those cat-like reflexes and then that doesn't serve you anymore. So those kind of have to go away. Now any cat-like reflex I might have probably would be used wrong. I'd probably be injecting myself in my kids' lives sort of reactively in ways they maybe wouldn't appreciate or need or wouldn't serve them.
Familiar, yes.
Yeah. So you have to walk away from that, but it takes time. But you can get better at it. So the way I've been a mom of adults for now 9 years, and my oldest has been an adult for 9 years, and I was no good at it at first, but I'm getting pretty good at it. So it's like you figure out each new stage, what's needed of you and how you can meet that moment. Just because you've been a mom of, like when your kids were really, really little and then they went to school and you were a school mom, a school kid mom, that's a different skill set. It takes a little while to figure out how to juggle the paperwork and the permission slips and the assignment folders and all that. It takes a while. And then when they become teenagers, and then it's like, okay, now we're dealing with tech and their emotional lives changing. Like that takes a little time to get good at. So this time, the stage takes time too.
I am so with you on I hate that cherish every moment. It goes so fast. We hate that. And we really do push back against that. But it is complicated because I'm thinking of somebody in my life I know right now, but so many of us becoming an empty nester, right?
Yeah.
The youngest kid is about to leave for college and really feeling in advance a lot of anxiety about it.
Yeah.
A lot of, well, who am I when I don't put these other people's needs first and constantly attend? And as you say, anticipate the needs and get to the cup before it spills, like that paper towel ad, like that's you, right? And who are you with this shift on the horizon? It's coming and you're going to have to change into somebody new. And it's really very stressful. And do you hear that from your listeners and your audience? Yeah.
Yeah. And I never wanted we all come to this differently, obviously, right? And I think for myself, actually on the Mom Hour, Sarah and I were just talking about this in an episode where we both think we had maybe a little bit of a delayed reaction to that sadness, like feeling it ourselves, because we didn't want to think of ourselves that way. We kind of wanted to be like, no, it's great. They're moving on. They're doing these things. This is great. This is what they're supposed to do. And
I don't care at all.
I don't care at all. No, this is great. Everything's fine. And I think for me, it really was when my fourth left, things changed like really dramatically when there was just one kid left. And also his leaving the house was a little more traditional. The oldest two boys were kind of in and out, in and out. The middle was, I don't know. He left, but I could see that there was probably a time he was coming back. And also there was always younger kids, still pretty young, who really needed me a lot. But when Owen left, I thought, oh no, this is it. He's leaving and he's going to go to college and like he'll come home for summers and all that. It's not like I'd never see him again, but it felt much more, his path felt very set. And then it was just his sister at home. And that hit me hard. And I thought, oh, I guess maybe I've just been like delaying all this sadness. Because you cannot cherish every moment. I'm sorry, you can't. Like, it's not possible. So putting that expectation on ourselves doesn't actually help. It doesn't actually help us hold on to anything. I don't think it helps us remember things better. It just adds a lot of pressure, I think, and a lot of disappointment if you don't do it right. So I'm sort of in this space where it's like, I guess I'll just appreciate it as much as I can while it's happening, knowing that no matter what, there's still going to be loss and change in the future. And that's not always easy to handle. There's nothing I can do, in other words. Like there's nothing I can do to sort of like guard myself or inoculate myself against that. It's going to happen.
I'm talking to Meagan Francis, and her new book is called The Last Parenting Book You'll Ever Read. And we'll be right back. Hellions, it's time for some spring cleaning, and I don't just mean the coat closets. Doing your financial spring cleaning can actually be super easy when you let Monarch do your financial spring cleaning for you. One dashboard that gets your entire financial life organized. No more clutter, no more mess, no more logins scattered everywhere, just accounts, investments, property, and more, all in one place. Get your first year of Monarch for half off, just $50 with promo code FRESH. Monarch allows you to look not only at what you've already spent, but also to plan for the future. With Monarch, you can set savings goals, plan for big purchases, and notice spending trends before they become a problem. I can generate cash flow reports that show me what we spent this quarter, this month, what we're probably going to spend next month, and feel prepared, organized, and knowing how to plan for the future. No more surprises and a lot more clarity. Try Monarch. Use code FRESH at monarch.com to get your first year half off at just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code FRESH. My favorite skincare products actually feel more like self-care, like they're so nice to put on and they smell so good that I'm actually happy when I get to that part of my day. And I swear that is how I feel about Osea's anti-aging body balm.
Amy, you are usually the lotions and potions queen on this podcast, but I have to say, hard agree.
Osea's anti-aging body balm is a liquid silk body balm that combines the lasting hydration of a lotion with the firming power of a serum, leaving skin smoother and firmer.
This body balm is clinically tested and designed to deliver visible results you can see and feel.
So we've gotten to use this product for a couple of months now, and I swear I have really noticed firmer and smoother skin, like on the back of my hands. It's like getting a mini spa treatment from head to toe.
Get a spring-worthy glow with clean, clinically tested skincare from Osea. And right now, we have a special discount just for our listeners.
Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code FRESH at OseaMalibu.com.
That's 10% off your first order with code FRESH at OSEAMalibu.com.
At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today and let us surprise you.
I wanted to talk a little bit more about lasts.
Yeah.
Like the last time this, because you say, I'm going to quote you, lasts can be sad, scary, confusing. They can be freeing, exciting, and wonderful. Often they are both. Is that is that an intentional mindset, or is that just something you have found to be true?
I mean, I'm just going to go back again to saying I don't know that there's any way to mindset yourself out of the hard parts. Like I think we put a lot of stock into this idea that we can prepare. If we just prepare ourselves, then we won't feel it. Or if we just prepare ourselves, we won't experience the hard parts the way other people did or do. I've been asked many, many times while talking about this book, you know, someone will say, well, I'm a little ways away from there. I have maybe middle school kids. What can I do to prepare for this? And I'm like, the same things you would do just to be yourself. Like, you're already doing it. You know, anything you can do to invest back in yourself, keep investing in your relationships with other people besides your kids, but also keep investing in your kids. It's not about pulling back from them. It's not about being like, okay, did my work here, bye-bye, and I'll be over here, you know, learning jujitsu. I mean, that's not really how it works. It's just like, keep showing up for yourself, keep showing up for your people, keep showing up for your kids, and just know it's going to be hard at some point in some way. And that those lasts sometimes do not announce themselves. Every year at Christmas, I think, is this it? Is this the last Christmas that they're all here? Because there will be a last Christmas that all the kids come home. That's going to happen. But I'm not going to know probably that next year's the year they have a job that keeps them away from home, or that they have a partner and they decide to go visit, you know, the partner's parents instead, or whatever it is. I'm not going to know that. So every year it's like, I have to balance out the temptation to make it all too heavy. And like, why is mom crying in the kitchen again? Like that whole thing, with not acknowledging the moment. Like, there's a delicate balance there, because if every time I walk in the room, I go, remember when you guys were little? And then I cry, like no one's going to want to, that is not a fun way to spend Christmas. But also if I just rush through it and don't appreciate it at all, I might regret that later because at some point it will be the last. So I guess that's all a very like long-winded way of saying the lasts are happening, whether we document them, scrapbook them, write them in our journals, know they're happening all around us all the time, which sounds like a big bummer.
But it doesn't have to be. Like, I'm just
Right.
thinking, I was just at my oldest kid, just graduated from college.
Yeah.
And I found it a very moving experience in a way that I didn't totally expect. I mean, thinking back on my own college graduation, it just was sort of, yippee, I'll miss my friends, but yay, waved to my parents. You know, like, I don't know. I was much more focused on what happened last night, what's happening tomorrow. And my spouse and I were both surprised by how moved we were sitting in the stands when they announced our kid's name. Wasn't expecting it. And it was sad and wonderful and moving and terrific. And I think you're right that you can't sort of lock down in advance. You just experience it, right? And let it be what it is. And it's certainly wonderful that your kid is heading into their future. I think if I was sad at all, I was a little bit sad, like, oh, these are such good years and I'm sorry that you're leaving it behind.
Yeah.
You don't quite get how
you don't know yet.
Not quite the same it's going to be. You don't know yet. But I was also incredibly proud. Anyway, like the idea that I should have protected myself in advance so I wouldn't have all the emotions I had is silly looking back at it now.
Or like there's something like you couldn't have felt them in advance either. It's not like you could have been, like checklist.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to feel this beforehand so that I'm thinking of like, okay, you're an actor and I've done some amateur acting. And there's been times before where I've done shows where I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this song without sobbing. This is like a really sad
that's a
thing.
problem I have. Crying during sad
And
stuff.
I'm like, the older I get, the harder it is for me to hold that back. And I did the show Next to Normal, and there's a song.
Yes.
There's a song.
Intentional. A very intense show.
Yeah, very intense. And I was Diana, which is this character who's got a lot going on. And it's in like so many songs too. There's like so many songs. There's just from one to the next. But there's a song right toward the end where she's singing with her daughter. And every time I heard it on the soundtrack, I would just bawl. And I thought, there's no way. I can't do this. But in that moment, I was quite able to do it. And it worked. And I don't know there's any way. I kept thinking I have to desensitize myself. Like, I just have to sing this song all day long. And that'll help me not feel anything when I got there. But like, I have to feel it when I get there, or else I'm not really acting, am I? Like, it's just, and that's performing and it's different. But I think it kind of helped me realize, like, sometimes you feel something in the moment because that's the right thing to be feeling in that moment. And there's no way to prepare for that. And it might not be what you thought. You might have a kid who goes off to college and you're like, see ya, this is great. You might not feel it in that moment. You never know why things will hit you the way they will. I don't know that there's a way. Like for me, when I sent my son Owen off to college, I sprained my ankle really badly the day we moved him into the dorms. So we moved him into the dorms. My husband and I went for a walk. I rolled my ankle, wound up in the ER, missed all of the stuff. I know, it was like awful. And the next day, my goodbye was me being in the back of my car with my ankle propped up. He kind of came and gave me this awkward, like, I think he was kind of annoyed with me, honestly. In that way, kids can be annoyed with you.
Right.
For something like, I didn't do this to ruin your weekend, but he wasn't thinking about me because he's 19 years old.
Right.
Newsflash, they
Quite
don't.
appropriately.
Yeah. And he's walking away and I'm just sobbing in the backseat of the car. And I'm like, where did this come from? Like, what is actually happening right now? It's not really about my ankle. That was a bummer. It's not really that I missed a bunch of orientation stuff that honestly I didn't really want to go to anyway. Like, I didn't really want to go hang out with the other parents. Like, that didn't sound fun. So what was it? And I think in that moment, it was like, it felt like he was breaking up with me. He's like leaving me behind in this car. And I don't know, like, what could I have done to not have that happen? There's nothing.
Right.
It was,
right.
Everything was happening the way it should have been happening. It was very developmentally appropriate for him to be taking this on his own and to be capable. And it was, it was unfortunate because, man, it took a long time to heal from that. But I did. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know that there's not a 10-step process to this, which is why the book doesn't have any, it doesn't make any promises. at all.
But on the other hand, you do talk about leaving behind the whole idea, like, I'm going to do this work so I'll be less sad. That's not necessary.
Right.
It's not, it's fine. You'll be sad and happy. It's okay. You'll feel your feelings, but you can be intentional as you go into this next stage.
Yeah.
Because besides the, I'll be sad and lonely, there's also the like, who am I when I'm not somebody's parent? And that is frightening, but it's also an opportunity. So talk about that part of it.
You know, I've noticed a way of expressing one's anxiety over kids getting older. And I don't know if you've seen this, Amy. I more notice it in local people that I know, maybe just because I also kind of know their kids. It's a little different than if it's someone whose kid I've never seen.
Yeah.
And there's a person who really becomes the publicist for their kid. And it's like everything they do is about putting this kid on a pedestal, up to and including getting entangled in online fights with people, like parents of other people who they think have wronged their kid, all this stuff. I've seen this play out a couple of times. And that's where I start to get a little nervous for these moms, because I think, first of all, no kid is perfect. And most are not quite as put upon as moms. You know, we like to think their mama bear comes out. So somebody does something we don't like to our kid, and we want to think, well, it's not obviously our kid.
Right.
Didn't, behave poorly in this situation. It's the school, it's the friends, it's the whatever.
The school, the teacher, right.
It's the teacher, yeah. So there is that temptation. And I think we all have that. And I think I've worked really hard to be like, I don't know the whole story. So I'm just going to take a little bit of a broader view and be open to the possibility that actually my kid was not an angel in this situation.
Right.
I think there are some moms in particular who really struggle with that. And then when it becomes very like outward, that becomes their identity, their public identity is sort of being this PR person for the kid. It's like, oh, because at some point, first of all, they have to be allowed to make their own mistakes and decisions. And they have to be, what pressure? Like nobody needs that kind of pressure. A.
Yeah.
And B, at some point, that's over. Like now they've truly well and moved on. And have you made friends? Have you involved yourself in activities that are fun for you? Have you done anything that doesn't have revolve around this public presentation of your child? And not everyone does it. I think that's like the extreme. And then, there's the other extreme of someone who's totally checked out, and most of us fall somewhere in the middle. But when I see that happening, I want to be like, okay, I made a pretty deliberate decision, which is hard to do as a parenting podcaster. You'll know this, to not really have my work revolve around my kids. Now that's hard to do when you talk about parenting for a living, right?
Talk about the work you're doing. Right.
Right. But there is a way to separate the work you're doing and the concept of parenting from your kids as the starring characters.
For sure.
Yes. And you've done it well. And I think that it helps, not only does it help create some room to breathe for them, but I think it helps us. I think it just helps us kind of figure out who we are, independent, and how we feel about motherhood, independent of our actual kids, which might seem a little weird. It's like, No,
I understand exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
You, for me, one way that this came to fruition, and I wrote about it and happy to help, is that I really had depended on my kids' soccer sidelines and, hallways at ballet as where I would see people, where I would make friends. It was easy to make friends. You had this in common. When soccer season ends, when your kid doesn't take ballet anymore, when your kid leaves that school, especially in New York, where you're not going to bump into people at the supermarket.
Right.
It's a huge and anonymous city unless you really are deliberate about it. I realized that I had over-relied on showing up at the places where my kids needed me and just, making friends there, but then not really going the extra step to talk about things besides my kids and soccer and where's this one going to college? You know what I mean? And then I miss that woman. I never see her. Okay, well, you should take the risk and let her know that and set something up. And I've started doing those things since I realized that shortcoming. But that's one way I think that you have to sort of put yourself in the center, make sure your relationships aren't based on your kids' relationships.
Yeah,
make sure your interests aren't based on driving your kids places.
Absolutely. Because those people, if you don't, to your point, if you don't take the extra step, they will remain what I call friendlies. They're not
friendlies. That's well said. Yeah.
They're people who know you and they know your kid, or they know what you're open to sharing about your kid, which often, especially if it's a situation where there's a lot of peers and the parents of their peers, are you being really honest if things are hard? Maybe not. Maybe it's not the place for that. So who are you honest with? Who do you talk to about those things? I think parenting teenagers and young adults can be really lonely. We talk a lot about the loneliness of early motherhood, the isolation of early motherhood. But I'll tell you what, when you're a younger mom and you're out, or, any aged mom, but you're out with a younger kid and your toddler throws a tantrum, you might be a little embarrassed, but everybody in there kind of gets it. It's all happening very publicly, and maybe there's a grumpy person, but there's going to be 90% of the people in that store are on your side, and they're going to let you know. They're going to kind of give you that little nod, and they're like, we've been there. Look, that you remember what that was like.
I sure do. And I am that person now. I am
right,
that
me too, like
kindly ma'am.
Eyes and be like, you've got this, or oh my gosh, it's so hard. And you just make those little touch points. Now flash forward and you're the mom of a teenager who just shoplifted, or said something terrible to a teacher and got expelled, or something, like, who knows what. It's not the same. First of all, that's happening pretty privately often, or if it's public, you certainly are not getting people nodding at you and giving you the, it happens. It just doesn't play out that way. So it can be so lonely, and it's sometimes almost too much pressure if all of your social connections are the parents of your kids' peers.
Right.
Because everyone is in that place where they're trying to kind of protect their own kids' image, their own kids, how they present to the world, their own kids' future, their own kids' success, whatever it is. And they might have an opinion about your kid. It's like you almost have to seek out spaces that have nothing to do with that. In addition to, like you said very wisely, if you like someone and you want to have a further connection with them, say so.
Be intentional about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I'm talking to Meagan Francis. Her new book is The Last Parenting Book You'll Ever Read, and we'll be right back. All my kids learned to swim when they were little. It was super important to me that they be confident and safe in the water. There was only one problem with that: taking them to swim lessons. I mean, the pools were freezing. There were always cranky adults doing laps right there. And it was definitely not, for any of us, what you would call fun.
Amy, heard. But now there's Goldfish Swim School. Goldfish takes a really thoughtful approach to swim lessons, combining research-based teaching with a warm, kid-friendly environment that actually helps kids thrive in the water.
Every detail at Goldfish is thoughtfully designed to create a golden experience, from shiver-free, warm indoor pools to comfy waiting areas for parents to professionally trained lifeguards on deck.
Goldfish uses an approach called the science of swim play, which combines guided play with proven teaching techniques to help kids learn to swim, build water safety skills, and gain confidence, all at their own pace. Lessons are designed to meet kids exactly where they're at.
If you've been thinking about swim lessons or just wondering where to start, this is a great opportunity. Right now, Goldfish Swim School is offering a waived membership plus your child's first lesson free at participating locations.
Just visit goldfishswimschool.com/free to find a location near you and enroll using promo code FREE.
That's goldfishswimschool.com/free, promo code FREE.
Amy, when I'm having a good hair day, it usually makes my whole day better. And that's why on every day, I'm taking Nutrafol.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand. And it's the #1 hair growth supplement brand personally used by dermatologists. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements are peer-reviewed, NSF certified for sport, and clinically tested.
Nutrafol offers multiple formulas for men and women, tailored to different life stages and lifestyle factors, so you get support that's actually right for you. Adding Nutrafol to your daily routine is easy. Order online, no prescription needed, with automated deliveries and free shipping to keep you on track.
Let your hair be one less thing to worry about. See visibly thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol.
For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LAUGHING.
That's Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code LAUGHING. So let's talk about time and the guilt about how we spend our time, especially, I suppose, when you have it's their last summer before they leave for college. This runs through the hourglass. And I can't just go do Pilates with my friend on Wednesday mornings when this is their last summer at home. Have you experienced that? And what do you suggest people do about that feeling?
I mean, to some degree, yes. I will say that none of my kids are up before 9 o'clock in the morning unless I go literally flip their mattress. So mornings are a great time to get
You're right. Get up early. Okay.
Okay.
Good strategy, actually.
But I think there is a temptation to over assign the importance of every little moment. And we're plagued with this, right? Because you start hearing that message, like, you only get 18 summers, make every moment count. Nobody, like we said, nobody can make every moment count, nor does your 18-year-old really want to hang out with you all summer long, because if it's their last summer before college, they want to be out hanging out with their friends.
Yes.
And doing whatever they do on their phones and things like that.
Right.
So it's not necessary, for one thing, but I also don't think it's helpful to the relationship. I think as they're getting older, the relationship needs time and space to breathe. And you might also be really annoyed by your 18-year-old. They don't call it soiling the nest for nothing. There are behaviors, or at least a pulling away, that can feel really palpable. And I think if we invest too much of our own identities and whether our kids want to hang out with us right now or not, I just don't know that we're going to get the result we want. And also, I don't feel like it's our kids' job to do that for us. I don't feel like it's my 18 or 19 or 22-year-old's job to validate me, to make me feel better about what's happening. They're not going to feel it as hard probably the way I do yet, because they're not thinking about me. Like, think back when you went to college, how much time did you spend thinking about your parents?
I wrote about it in the book that when we were saying goodbye to my mother, my father, my mom was crying, of course, right? And I was like, why are you crying?
Why are you crying?
Fine.
Right.
I'm so fine. I'm like, goodbye, like get in the car. I didn't get it. I honestly thought she was crying because she was worried about me.
Right. And it's
like,
not
don't worry about me. And it's not that at all.
No.
I couldn't conceive her emotional state of where did the time go, regret, being left behind.
Sunrise, sunset. I mean, all the things. Yeah.
No. It just did not enter my
How could you?
Barely 18-year-old head. Yeah. I just didn't know that was a thing. Right. So they're not bad people that they don't know that. They don't know. They haven't experienced that part of life yet. Yeah.
And they're thinking, I can't wait. What a fun time this is. And that's great. My 21-year-old and I think it's really interesting too with having all these older kids, is that I'm realizing that the way we stay connected now is very reflective of their personalities. It has nothing to do with our relationships. Like, it's not surprising at all to me that I have a kid who ghosts me when things are hard. And when he texts me, that means things are either great or really bad and he needs money. But like, that's not surprising. That's how our relationship's kind of always been. Whereas I have another who will send me these long walls of text filling me in on every single little thing. And it's not because my relationship with the one who's in constant contact is better. It's just we communicate differently and always have. So my 21-year-old, I think he was getting really stressed out because I was checking in with him a lot and asking him like, oh, what are you doing? What's the plan? And he said, I just don't ever feel like I have an answer that is going to make you happy. Like, I don't really have a plan. And I was like, oh no, it's not about me. I'm just excited for you. Like, I just keep putting myself back in those shoes and thinking, what an exciting time.
Yes.
I want to know, I want to know what you're doing. And then I realized,
what are you doing tonight? Right.
Exactly. Like, oh, what kind of fun plans do you have? I want to hear about them. And I realized I'm annoying him by doing that. I'm creating stress and pressure. And I didn't mean to, because it's not his job to help me feel better about sending him out in the world. It's his job to just live his life.
To go figure it out.
Figure it out. And it's my job to figure out my life. And so I guess the way that relates to your question about that last summer before college, or the summer between junior and senior year, or the last summer before high school, or whatever last you're facing down, it's just another summer. It's just another day that you're going to live, and you're going to acknowledge it as well as you can. And you're going to live it with as much balance as you can, although sometimes you can't at all. And you're going to either work really hard that day because you have deadlines, or you're not. And you're going to seize the opportunity and grab your kids and head to the beach, whatever you're going to do. It's just a day. It's just another day. And your life is just made up of lots of days. No one day having that much more significance than any other day. That might sound terribly I don't know, I'm not giving this the gravity it deserves, but I actually think it's a much healthier way to go through life than to try to put way too much pressure on a 3-month window or a 3-hour window
or a special weekend,
whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you hold things more loosely, it occurs to me just from a physical point of view. If you're more loose in your body and you're not locked down, that means you can sort of pivot in any direction. You can be more nimble, right? If you're relaxed and open, instead of deciding you're going to move a certain way and then surprised you have to go another way. So it's doing that, the emotional version of that, being open to what's next.
Absolutely. My 19-year-old, he's home for the summer, and he got his summer job. And he comes home and he talks about making salads because that's apparently what they've got him doing at this place. Wow. And so I've heard all about the anapasta salad, the garden salad, the salad that has the fruit in it, where the sides go, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, my point is these are not bonding moments. We're not having like big conversations about life. We're talking about, well, he's talking about salads. And I'm mostly going,
He's really motivated to discuss.
Yes. Ooh,
Okay, this is what we're talking about.
tough. So sometimes the dressing goes on the side. And wait, are you saying sometimes it goes in the salad? How? But those are moments that count too. It doesn't always have to be us having some kind of big heart to heart. And to your point, the more relaxed I am in my body, the more I can just kind of be there for those moments and just kind of let them wash over me, you know?
Right. Like, this is what they want to talk about. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to, instead of having like, let's sit down and have a meaningful conversation.
Yes.
You're halfway through a meaningful conversation before you realize you're having one. And so
So go to Pilates because they probably weren't going to be awake then anyway.
Right. I want to talk a little bit about all the different content you have going on.
Yeah.
Because you have the kettle, you have the mom hour. Tell us about all of it.
Okay. So the Mom Hour podcast that Sarah Powers and I have co-hosted for more than 10 years now is coming to an end. So we will be producing or publishing our last episode on June 24th. The archives, which it's hundreds and hundreds of episodes, will be there. We're leaving those up so people can, who are maybe not where we are and still are looking for content about parenting younger kids can go find it. We've got a massive archive there with lots of great content, but we're ready to move on. We talked lately about a question we got from a listener who said something like, can you tell us something you wish you'd done differently with your teenagers or something like that? And I was like, I honestly can't answer that because if I answered it honestly for you, I don't know that it would be helpful. First of all, I'm not going to, but even if I did, I don't know that it would help you because you can't know what parenting teenagers is like until you're in it. And you can't, like we've talked about, you can't prepare for it by not making mistakes. That's not how this works. So anyways, I think it was kind of around the time we had that conversation that I thought, I don't know what we're bringing to this anymore. It just feels like it's time for us to let that go. And we really want to talk about other things. So we're starting a new podcast called Midlife Lady Leisure Pursuits. That is going to launch on June 17th. So probably the best way to find out about that would just be to follow the Mom Hour on Instagram. I'm also on Instagram at Meagan Francis, although I'm rather sporadic about the way I post there. And we're really excited about that because that's just going to be us talking about hobbies and leisure pursuits and things we love to do that has nothing to do with parenting and is everything to do with the stage we're moving into.
This is it. The very thing.
This is it.
Right. Who you are next.
Exactly. And then my podcast, The Kettle, that's a solo podcast that I just do a couple of times a month. And I have a Substack that goes along with that. And that's at meaganfrancis.substack.com. So I'm still kind of all over the place, but moving out of the parenting space and into this, what is next for me space. Yeah.
I love it. Okay. We're going to link to all of those things. And
Yay.
I was just on Meagan's Substack talking about happy to help and writing about kids and writing about our own lives. And I loved doing that. That was my first Substack live.
It was a lot of fun. It was good times.
Pulled the most crazy, as you pointed out to me, the absolute most crazy picture of me that's ever been taken as the still in the episode.
Was that the one that Substack pulled?
Yes. I didn't choose it.
It was like a thumbnail. And I mean, it's hilarious. I look like I'm crying or look like I'm just kind of melting and very sad. And you just are like, ah.
I have young Frankenstein eyes or something. Tell us a little bit about The Kettle.
So on The Kettle, I just talk a lot about food, hobbies, creative life, not as much mom stuff, which is, by design. And it's now kind of becoming, I like to think of it as just like a cozy peek into my house or into my life, and pour yourself a cup of your favorite warm beverage. And you can hear me talk about baking sourdough and playing with my chickens and things like that. And I occasionally have guests on like you. So you were on the Substack live that kind of accompanies the podcast, which is a little bit confusing. All of these platforms I feel like are starting to meld into one. What even is a podcast anymore? And what is video versus live broadcasts?
Right.
And it's all becoming one. So The Kettle is sort of the overarching, brand that it's all living under.
I've been talking to Meagan Francis. Her new book is The Last Parenting Book You'll Ever Read, How We Let Our Kids Go and Embrace What's Next. Meagan's content, all the places you can find her. We're going to put the links to all of that in the show notes and, of course, where you can buy the book. Meagan, thanks for talking to me today.
Thanks so much, Amy. This has been so much fun.
Stitch Fix. Shopping is hard. Let's talk about it.
I don't have time to shop for clothes.
I have to buy everything in 3 sizes to find one that fits. They know me at the post office.
Workout wear is my only wear.
Stitch Fix makes shopping easy. Just show your size, style, and budget, and your stylist sends personalized looks right to your door. No subscription required, plus free shipping and returns.
Oh, wow. That was easy.
Stitch Fix, online personal styling for everyone. Take your style quiz today at stitchfix.com.